Okay, fabulous. So I have put together a small little PPT, just a little bit for you to get an understanding. Okay, so most of you know me here, and there are some who I'm meeting for the very first time, like Hadil and Atimjot, and I don't think we've ever met each other before. You would have got this link or seen this link somewhere, and that's why you're here. So I am Shagufta Patel. I am a transformation specialist. I'm a coach, a trainer, and author, an award-winning author as well. And though I look very confident in these pictures, and I've done fabulous stuff in the last 10, 15 years, I wasn't always like this. And there are people on this group who can testify to that. There is Meghna, there are people over here on this group who know the kind of life that I was living before 2010. It was just very, very briefly, it was a very toxic, abusive relationship that I was into. And there was all kind of abuse. And when you're abused for a period as long as 17 years, your self-confidence, your self-worth goes for an absolute toss. So that is where I was. Never worked before in my life. I was a homemaker because I got married at the age of 19 when I had not even finished college. So that was my life before 2010. And 2010 is the year that I decided that enough is enough and I'm not going to be living like this anymore. And people around me, obviously, my family, my friends, they were like, what are you going to do? You don't have work experience, you don't have money, you've got two kids. Your father is not in a state. He had just had a brain stroke just before I decided to leave. So he was not in a condition and he never recovered from that. So I didn't have that support. So what are you going to do? I said, I don't know what am I going to do. All I know is that I need to change my life. This is not how I want to live my life. I had no clue back then. What am I going to do? I had never worked in my life before. Like I said, I was 19 when I got married. But I started. I said, no, the change needs to happen, and the change, I will bring the change. How? Absolutely no idea. So that's where I began. And uh, 2010 came back to Bombay, no clue, with two kids, started studying again, did my MBA in marketing, didn't like, I mean, I finished my MBA in marketing. I actually topped my batch, but then for me, it was like, no, 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 this is not what interests me. I don't want to do this. And at that time, I was working with Femina magazine. So I had got a job with Femina here with much great difficulty because, again, like I said, I was a very timid, shy person. I couldn't speak or have conversations very normally. It was very, very few people that, I could actually converse with. New people, बहुत डरती थी. I couldn't pick up a call, couldn't talk, nothing. So that's where I started. And then I came, after finishing my MBA in marketing, I did image management. And when I did image management, there were a lot of things that came to my awareness, and I realized they taught us the ABC of image. So I teach now A, B, C, D, E, F. I've added three more components to it, pillars to it. But then when they taught us the ABC of image, what I realized at the end of it is that your appearance could be good, your communication can be very good. Uh, you can speak well, but if you have the fear of speaking, like fear of public speaking is so common in a lot of people, right? They'd rather die than speak in front of an audience. So if you still have those fears, then of what use is good language if you cannot speak in front of others? Body language matters, behaviors matters, everything matters. And so I could identify in myself so many blocks at that time, which was stopping me from progressing further. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I had the potential, but I didn't know how to overcome those blocks. Much like what Meghna said, we don't know how to do it. We know we want this, but we don't know how to do it. So then I started looking for solutions and options. And one by one, I did NLP, then I did hypnotherapy, It helped me. Then I learned it. Every time I did something, it helped me. I got myself certified in that same thing. So I did NLP, then I did hypnotherapy, I did embraining, I did pranic healing, I did AFT quantum healing, I did access bars, I did body whispering, I did B4 formats, and I've done all this that we are going to talk about today, right? So coming to, before we talk about the tools, like I told you that these are tools that you use to make about those changes, right? But before we even get to the tools, let's understand the science behind how these things works and why it works. So would you like to know that? Come on, I want some interaction.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So what we're going to learn now is something that I call as the mind model. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, it's all clear, right? Okay. So before we talk about the tools are just methods, right? That you use, like how the dentist has his own case, the surgeon has, the carpenter has his toolbox, and they will use different tools to create the outcome, or the outcome that they want. If they want a saw, if the carpenter wants a saw, he wants a hammer, whatever he wants, he'll take it to create the outcome. Okay. So those are tools, but let's talk about the science. So the mind model is what we're going to discuss now. Now, what is that one moment that we all come into existence? Tell me. Anyone can tell me, what is that one moment that we all come into existence?
Our birth.
No. Birth, we come into the world, but what is that one moment when we actually come into existence? At
Being part
conception.
of a community.
At conception.
Yeah.
At
Okay.
conception, right? That is the moment that we come into existence. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So conception is the moment of where we come into existence, where we start our life as a single cell. It's a single fertilized cell where the egg meets the sperm and it forms one cell. We've studied this in biology in school. Okay. So we all start our life as one cell. There is no figure, there's no body yet completely. We just start as one cell, and these cells start multiplying, and then they form clusters, and some clusters will go and form your skeletal system, and some clusters will go and form your, the brain, the digestive system, and so on and so forth, different organs of the body. But we all start our life as one single cell. And at that moment, when we start a life as our single cell, that is the moment when, okay, our unconscious mind comes into picture. Okay. We don't have a brain yet, right? We just have a single cell. So when we come into existence, that's the moment that our unconscious mind, now this is an intangible part of us. We don't see it, but this is the unconscious mind. Okay. Now, the unconscious mind is roughly 30 to 40% of your total mind capacity. Clear? What is the function of the unconscious mind? The immune system and the body functions. So all your immune system and all your body functions are controlled by the unconscious mind. So now if I tell you, Hadil, stop your hair from growing. Meghna, stop your liver from filtering blood. Zeba, stop your nails from growing. You can't do it. It is all not in our control. These are all very automatic systems that go on right from the time we come into existence to the very last day of our life. So these are very, automatic body functions that we are not even aware of. Our heart is beating, we are taking in the breath, the lungs is taking in oxygen, throwing out carbon dioxide. All this is happening without our knowledge. So this is the function of the unconscious mind. Then in utero, while you're still in your mother's stomach, in utero, that's when your subconscious mind, around 4 or 5 months of of your development inside in utero is when the subconscious mind comes into picture. Now, the subconscious mind is 50 to 60% of your total mind capacity, the maximum of your mind capacity. Now, what does the subconscious mind do? What is its function? Let me tell you. Subconscious mind is like a memory bank. It records everything. Okay. So even when you were in your mother's womb, developing over there, does anyone know what is the first sense to develop when you're in utero? Does anyone know?
No.
Okay. The first sense to develop in utero is a sense of hearing. Okay. So babies can hear inside. And that's why mothers are told, listen to good things, speak good things, keep your environment nice and positive, because everything affects the child inside. So the child is listening to everything that's going on, even outside, the conversations that the parents are having, the emotions and the feelings of the mother, everything, the conversation that the mother is having with herself, everything is being recorded. So after we are born, it starts from then, but then it continues even after we are born. Everything that has ever happened to us is recorded in the subconscious mind. Right to this moment, everything is there. You wouldn't remember it, but it's there. Every little thing that you have heard consciously, unconsciously, while you're sleeping, things are happening as a baby, people around you talking, everything is stored there. So it's a memory bank that records everything. This is the seat of your emotions and feelings also. The subconscious mind is very literal. Very literal means that it does not understand context. It only understands content. So whatever is being
Excuse
spoken,
me, Shagufta.
yeah,
There is some kind of disturbance. I think somebody needs to mute or something.
I've muted everybody. Just hold on.
No, no, yeah. It's fine now. Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So the subconscious mind is also very, very literal. Very literal means that it doesn't recognize the context. It only is very literal means whatever you tell it, that becomes its reality. It doesn't matter whether it is an imagination or whatever. Whatever you tell it, it takes it very, very, very literally. Okay. We'll come to some examples later on. And then this is also what forms your coding of life. Now, what do I mean by that? We've all seen a computer. Are you joining this session, this Zoom call on a laptop or what? Phone, whatever. Now, phone is also a mini computer. Laptop is also a computer. So we have a hardware, right? We have a hardware and we have a software. So no matter what make your computer is, it can be a Apple, it can be a Lenovo, it can be a Dell, no matter what brand, what make, what configuration it is, it will not work unless we fed in some softwares. Agree? Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, without the software, it is of no use. Correct? And the softwares are also different types. I mean, not one software doesn't do everything. You have a software for accounting, you have a software for designing, you have a software for content. I mean, there's so many softwares that are available. The apps on your phone are all softwares, each having a different functionality of its own, right? So it's the same way with us. We, as the human, the body is the hardware. We wouldn't function without the software. And what is the software? Is the mind. You get it? So a lot of people think that it is the brain. The brain is also part of the hardware. It is not your software. The brain is an organ. It can be compared to the CPU, the motherboard. So that's the brain. But the software is the intangible part which runs us. The programs that we run on is the mind. So we've already spoken about the unconscious mind, which takes care of your body functions. And then it's the subconscious mind, which the coding that we're talking about is your belief systems, your behaviors. So if you have fears, that's coming from your subconscious mind. If you have certain beliefs that you hold, that is stored in your subconscious mind. That's the coding that I'm talking about. Okay. So everybody has a different belief system. Everybody has some fears, Not everybody fears the same thing, right? So that coding happens here in the subconscious mind. And where does this coding happen? From what? The coding is the information that is being fed into the subconscious mind right from the time that we are in utero. Clear? Clear up till now? So this is the coding of
Yes.
life, right? This is where our beliefs and behaviors come from. The one thing about the subconscious mind is that though it is very powerful because it is 50 to 60% of your total mind capacity, right? Out of 100%, 30 to 40% is the unconscious mind, 50 to 60% is the subconscious. Powerful as it is, it's also very protective and it's also very lazy. Now, what do I mean by that? Once it is identified, see, the only job of the subconscious mind is to keep you safe, protected, and feel protected. That's it. So once it is identified as something that makes you feel safe and protected, it will not go looking for something else. Let me give you an example here. Why do people find it so difficult to overcome binge eating or smoking habits or something like all these addictions that we talk about, all these habits that are very hard to break? Why do you think that happens? Because let's take the example of smoking. It's very easy to understand. Why do people smoke? They start smoking to relieve themselves, sometimes under peer pressure. It's very cool to do this. That's why some, teenagers would start. It's very cool. And some start later on in life because they've heard that when you're in stress and anxiety, having a puff relieves you, right? Correct? So the nicotine in the cigarette actually is a kind of an anti-suppressant which relaxes your stress and anxiety. The nicotine is also gives you that kick, that feel-good factor. So once you or the teenagers, once they take a smoke or they take a puff and they feel good with the cigarette because of the nicotine in it, or the others, if they're taking it for to relieve the stress or anxiety, what happens is they feel better after taking a cigarette. So the subconscious mind now recognizes, okay, this cigarette, this thing, whatever this is, it helps me reduce the stress or the anxiety that I'm feeling, which is very uncomfortable. Stress and anxiety is very uncomfortable for people. It's not a happy space to be in, or it's not a comfortable place to be in. So the minute you take a cigarette, you feel calmer, your nervous system calms down, and the subconscious mind recognizes, okay, this thing helps me calm my nervous system. The stress, anxiety comes down. So it is lazy. Once it is identified one thing, it's not going to look for something else. Okay. So once it is identified, then the next time you feel stress or anxiety, what does the subconscious mind remind you now? Cigarette. Go, take another puff. And that's how habits and addictions are formed. So it's very protective about you. All it wants is you to be safe and not unregulated. Your nervous system should be calm and stable and nice and peaceful, and you should be safe and happy. That's the job of the subconscious mind. So it will not see what it is using to bring you there. Once it has found something that keeps you safe and happy, it sticks to it. Okay, so this is the subconscious mind. Now, going forward, what's the next one? The conscious mind. Okay, so the conscious mind is just 10% of your total mind capacity. Now, conscious mind is related to your IQ, your intelligence mind, or your intelligence quotient. It develops at the age of roughly, it starts developing roughly at the age of 2.5, 3 years. That's when we start, sending children. That's when children start going to school, kindergarten. That's the age we send them, right? Because that's where the learning process consciously starts. This is the thinking mind. Your thoughts come from here, the conscious mind. It is the rational part of your brain. Rational, it can give you reasons. It can reason out things. It is also very analytical. It analyzes. Now, because this is not developed in young children, I said it starts developing roughly around the age of 2.5, 3. This is the analytical mind. What does it mean is you cannot analyze. That's why small children, very young children, once they start walking, or you put them, they put slippers in the mouth, they put mud in their mouth because they cannot analyze that these are dirty things and I shouldn't be putting it in my mouth. You put a child on the road, on the pavement, and he'll run in the traffic because for him, he cannot analyze that a moving vehicle means danger, right? He'll go towards fire. He doesn't analyze that fire means danger. He'll just walk towards water, not knowing that this is danger. Because the analytical mind, the analytical capacity is of the conscious mind, which only starts developing at the age of 2.5, 3. And then this is also where your will resides. Will means your choices. All your choices come from here. What I'm going to wear today? What am I going to wake up today? What am I going to eat today? What do I need to do today? What movie am I going to want to watch today? All of these choices that you make are a function of the conscious mind. So this, all in all, is your software. Unconscious mind, subconscious mind, and your conscious mind. Okay, clear? Now, conscious mind can process only 40 to 50 bits of data per second, vis-a-vis the subconscious mind, which can process 11 million bits of data per second. Now, you see the difference? 40, 50 bits of data is roughly around 5 to 7 things. So you can focus on 5 to 7 things at a time. You cannot focus on more than that. You try it, you'll not be able to do it. But the subconscious mind, it processes 11 million bits of data because there's so much stored inside already. Now imagine if all of this had to come into your conscious mind, you would go berserk, you would go mad. Okay. So to protect you from that, there is something called as the critical faculty between the conscious and the subconscious mind. This is like a gatekeeper. Okay. So everything is there in the subconscious mind, but whatever you need at that particular moment, that critical faculty allows that much only information to come into your conscious mind. And when you're done with it, it goes back. So at a moment, you'll only be able to focus on 5 to 7 things, not more than that. And when I say 5 to 7 things, it's the heat around you, it's the light around you, the conversations. So in your awareness, at a time maximum, you can focus on 5 to 7 things, not more than that. All right? So this is your conscious mind. Now, does it end here? Does it end here? What do you think? Yeah, Sibba. Azahir. You want to say something?
No, I said clear.
Okay, you've raised your hand. All right. So, what do you think? Is this it or there's something more?
Is it?
Yeah?
I think.
All right.
Don't know.
Don't know, yeah? Okay. Let me tell you. So, going forward, unconscious, subconscious. So, unconscious is the deepest layer. Then you have the subconscious, then you have the conscious. And then what you have is what you call as the superconscious mind. We also call it, some people call it the higher self, the divine self, God consciousness, whatever. Infinity. There's no percentage. It is infinite. It can be as expanded as you want it to be. Now, what does the subconscious do? This is the seat of your intuition. The sixth sense, jisko bolte hain. Some people have that knack of knowing things, right? The intuition develops here. Your creativity comes from here. And that one very important thing is that this superconscious mind that we're talking about is connected to all of humanity. Now, this is a very important thing to remember. What do I mean that connected to all of humanity? Now, tell me one thing. Do you want your intuition to become stronger, all of you?
Yes.
Are you looking at that? You think your intuition, do you think that intuition is like only some people have, some people don't have?
Yeah.
Everybody has. It's just a matter of how tuned in you are to your own intuition. So if it's not, you think it's not very strong, it's because it's still dormant. But it is part of your superconscious mind. We all have it. We all have it. So we all have intuition. We all have the creative abilities. it might just not be very well developed because it's still dormant. You've not allowed it to develop the way it should have been, or you're not in touch with it, or you're not aware of it, or you don't know how to tune it up. Okay. And when I say connected to all of humanity, you would have heard of unity consciousness, right? So connected to all of humanity would mean that sometimes you just know things, even without even being told. Has it happened to any of you? And sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes you just know it. You don't know where it's coming from, but you know it. So there is this vast field of information which is surrounding all of us, and this is all interconnected. The superconscious mind, each one has one, but it's so vast, it's so out there that each one is interconnected to each other, and we are picking up stuff from each other. So we're picking up the good stuff, and we're also picking up all the bad stuff, the stuff that we don't want. The fears, I don't know where this fear has come from. We have fear sometimes, which we don't know where it's coming from. Sometimes it's put inside, because I said the subconscious is very literal. But sometimes it's there and we don't even know where that fear is coming from, right? Sometimes we pick up things from others. We pick up their fears. We pick up their point of views, which are not ours. There are so many things that we keep talking about. There are, societal rules and this and that, all agreed. But there is so much of information out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. There's knowledge there. There's also, negativity there. So there is this duality that we live in. So there is positivity and there is negativity. A lot of it. Okay. There's love, there's anger, there's fear. So there's everything there out there. Right? And we pick up these things because this is connected to all of humanity. Right? So this is all in all how we function. Now, talking of the superconscious mind, tomorrow I'm having a webinar on the hidden cosmic codes. And this is something that I'm doing tomorrow. What are we going to do is, it's a coded map. It's a map. It's a very ancient map that offers insights into this superconscious that I'm talking about. And it has 10 dimensions, which we will talk about and see how it applies to modern life. So it gives you greater self-awareness. It gives you a very strong intuition, understand your recurring life patterns if you have recurring life patterns. And of course, it helps you personally grow. So this, I'm having it tomorrow and day after, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., 2 hours each day. So that's tomorrow, that's Saturday, and then Sunday, 11 to 1 p.m. IST and 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. GST time. Just remind me later to share the links with you if any of you would like to join these. This is paid, of course, but very, very nominal. If anybody would like to join, I'll share the code later on. I don't want to interrupt this session now. Okay, going forward, the main thing about this session now, how to do it. So you've understood the science. Now you've understood that if I have certain fears, or if I have certain limitations, or if I have certain blocks and barriers that I've identified that I want to get over, you understand the science behind it now. Where is it coming from? Mainly it is the subconscious mind. Okay. So the whole point here is now, how do I overcome this to live a better life? So the thing is, you would first identify what you want. That's the first step. Then you would remove the barriers, make the changes, and then get the desired results and outcomes. Because I told you that it is a software. Now, software is developed majorly from the ages of 0 to the age of 12 years, till your children. By the time you come to your teenage years, you're 90% coded, you're 90% programmed. Okay, by the time you're 18, you're 100% programmed, and then you run on autopilot and you don't even realize it. But can you change these things? Of course, you can change them. What do you need to do? You just need to go back into the place where this coding, or the subconscious mind, where the majority of the coding is happening, and then you change the codes. Once you've changed the codes there, you'll start seeing different results. So That's where these tools come in. And I call it the Life Lab. This is my signature program where I use, in my sessions, I use a mix of these tools. So I call it my Life Lab, which is liberate, integrate, formulate, evaluate, and elevate. Okay, so this is the Life Lab. And what are the tools that you can use? Now, these are the tools that you wanted to know about. How do these tools work? What are these tools and how do they work? So the first tool is that we're going to talk about. Any questions so far before I move forward? Any questions, any doubts coming up?
No.
Yeah, I see some
No.
chat. Okay, all good so far, yeah? All right. So tools now. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. What this simply mean is, neuro is your mind or your brain. Linguistic is language. Programming is programming. So you're using language as a tool to program your mind and your subconscious mind, or to program and reprogram your mind. Now, NLP majorly works at the conscious level. Okay, it does make changes at your subconscious level for sure, but it's using language as a medium to do that. So this is the full form of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, where we are using language as a tool to make changes in your subconscious mind. Cool. Hypnotherapy is hypnosis. So in hypnotherapy, what happens is you go in an altered state, or you go in a very relaxed state. It's not what we've shown in movies, that hypnosis and you're not in your senses and the other person can do whatever they want and you will be under their control. No, it is not like that. Hypnotherapy, the actual session of hypnotherapy, is where you are super aware. So what happens is, you remember the critical faculty that I showed you? Remember, between the between the conscious and the subconscious mind, that little layer, that little lid between the subconscious and the conscious, the critical faculty, we bypass that and we go directly into the subconscious mind where the major programming is happening. You're completely aware all the time of what's going on. So we tap inside wherever the programming is done, we make the changes there, and then we seal it back again. It's as simple as that. It's just a technique on how you need to know how you do it. Same like cooking, eh? There's a process, there's a technique on how you do certain things when you're baking or when you're cooking some things, and some things that you make which are a little more complicated than others. There's a whole technique to it. So this is also just nothing but a technique. Now, if a dentist has to do your root canaling, there's a technique that he follows. So it's exactly the same way. Here we are going into the subconscious mind. By removing or by bypassing the critical faculty, we actually go into the subconscious mind and make the changes there and then put the lid back on. So what we are doing really here is changing the coding, changing the programming, which is stopping you from moving forward. So that's hypnotherapy. And you're completely aware, you completely know, you absolutely know what's going on in the session. It's not that you are not aware. That's very dramatic, and that's what's shown in movies. That's not what really happens in a session of hypnotherapy. Okay, now coming to the journey. The journey is a process that is developed by Dr. Brandon Bayes. She was a doctor. Now she's very quite in her 70s or early 80s now. But when she was younger, she's from the United States, of course, and she had a good life. She was working with Deepak Chopra. She was working on cancer research, I think. And she had a good life. I mean, a good career, a happy married life, one child. Everything was going financially secure, good home, good social circle. Everything was going good with her. And then suddenly she found that her stomach had started growing and bloating, and she ignored it. She thought probably it's just with with age-related, menopausal and stuff like that. But then it reached a stage where she started bleeding. And that is where the alarm bells went off. And she went to the doctor, her doctor, and they did some scans and stuff. And they said, look, Brandon, this is serious. This is a tumor the size of a football in your, in your uterus that's growing. And we need to operate on it immediately. Otherwise, it's risky for you. And Brandon being Brandon, because she was in the field of cancer research and she had worked with Deepak Chopra and stuff. And she was like, no, I don't want to undergo a surgery. How serious is this? How much time can you give me? Like, suppose, what is the period that you can give me? They said 3 days. If in 3 days you can stop the bleeding, then we can give you 1 month to do whatever you want. Like you want to try Ayurveda, you want to try massage, whatever you want. If in 3 days you can stop your bleeding, then you have 1 month. If in 3 days you cannot stop your bleeding, then you are coming back here, no questions asked, you are undergoing the surgery. She agreed. 3 days, she went on juices and all, she gave up all, whatever she was eating, she altered her diet. In 3 days, she managed to stop the bleeding. She went back to the doctor. So the doctor, again, they kind of, examined her and they said, okay, 1 month now. And in 1 month, if nothing happens to your tumor, if it doesn't decrease or whatever, again, surgery, there's no other option. So Brandon, okay, agreed. She went. She tried everything. She tried Ayurveda, she tried homeopathy, she tried yoga. Whatever that anybody told her, she was willing to try it. Nothing happened. Last week, and we are like, she's in the last week of that 1 month, and now she's like literally given up hope. And then one of her friends just told her, look, why don't you just chill, just relax now. You've done everything that you could. Before your surgery, just come here, enjoy 1 week, just relax, because you have to go back and, get into that medication and stuff like that. So why don't you just come and give yourself that little break? Come and stay with me for a few days. So she went there to her friend's place. She went for a spa, for a massage. And on the table, while she's lying down, she felt something. She underwent, she went in a little bit of, that relaxed state totally because of the massage, obviously. But then when she got up from the table and she started walking, she felt a little different. She felt a little something move in her, in her womb area. And she said, oh, this is strange, but I don't know what that was. But she went back home and she just tried to recollect what happened. It was definitely not the massage, but the massage had relaxed her a lot. And then she tried to recollect what is it that happened over there that is causing this. So she tried to kind of go back into that space of getting that relaxation. And there was something that had happened to her in that process, which she underwent now. And for sure, she started getting better after that. So she kept repeating it, for that 1 week. And then after a week, when she went back to her doctor, they did another scan again. And that football-sized tumor had reduced to so much. Now it was the size of a golf ball, or slightly bigger than that. So the doctor said, wow, this is fabulous. No need, continue doing what you're doing. This is working. So she continued it for another 1.5 months. And then she went to another doctor, another center, not telling them anything about what had happened in the last 2-3 months. I said, just do a scan. I've just come for a general health checkup. And they did the scan. There was no sign of the tumor anywhere. It was like she never had the tumor ever. So then she developed this process, which is called the journey. Can you mute, please? Why can I mute everyone? Okay. Okay. So this is the journey that we are talking about. And she's developed 2 journeys. One is called the emotional and one is called the physical, wherein actually you can travel to a part of your body and remove all the unwanted, because these things that we go through, the emotions, the trauma, or whatever you call it, they do get stuck into the cells of your body. Science is proving it now. A lot of people are talking it about now. All these diseases that we talk about, disease is what? Your body being at dis-ease. Disease is your body at dis-ease. So we talk about cancer, except for the natural process of aging, because whatever is born needs to go through that cycle and it dies. Besides the natural process of aging, whatever is happening, your back pains, your arthritis, cancers, all are related to your stuck emotions and your stuck thoughts and feelings into your body. So what the journey does is it removes, pulls out those stuck emotions in your body, and that's how the healing happens. So the journey is very, very good for physical, ailments if you have any, because you don't know where this is coming from. You don't know where in your body those things are stored, but your body knows. And we trust the body's wisdom to do that. EFT is emotional freedom technique. It is what people call as tapping. So there are points over here, here, they tap. I don't do it because I don't enjoy it much. But then there's another emotional freedom technique that I use, which is very, very powerful. And I'm happy to do a demo after we finish the presentation. If anybody is willing to volunteer, if they are, kind of having any kind of strong emotions that they want to deal with right now, we can do a live demo. Okay. So EFT is the emotional freedom technique, which is also a technique which uses tapping. So you tap, tap, tap while saying affirmations. And there are certain points that you tap on. But I use a different method of doing this. Now, what's embraining? Embraining is multiple brain, or it's called MBIT, MBIT. It's called multiple brain integration technique. Now, what are the multiple brains that you have? You do have your brain that you know of, which is the brain here. You also have a heart brain, which is again proven. Your heart also has an intelligence of its own. And then you have a gut brain, okay, where your identity comes from. So remember what happens at conception? You start your life as a cell, one cell, and this cell is attached to your mother's umbilical. You have this umbilical cord, right? Which is attaching you to your mother, that umbilical cord, which when you're born, a baby is born, the doctor cuts to. So you're attached to your mother by the umbilical cord. And this navel that we talk about is where the umbilical cord is attached. And this part, the gut, where your intuition, where this is where your identity starts from. It also has an intelligence of its own. So this is the thinking brain. This is the feeling brain, the heart. And the gut brain is the doing brain, your identity, where your actions come from. Have you heard of the quote, butterflies in the stomach? Yeah? Butterflies in the stomach. So if you go to, and there's a fear in the, so when you go, people usually say this, that, when they go on stage to speak, they have got butterflies in the stomach. And when you're going to give exams, we've all felt this when we've been in school, we've gone for exams. What happens in the exam? You get that little queasy feeling in your stomach. Yeah. And whenever there's an important meeting, you do get that little bit of knot, that little bit of tightness in your stomach. What is that? That's because that's where your doing comes from. Your action taking comes from. So what does embraining do? Multiple brain integration technique is where your multiple brains, we are confusion, a lot of people get confused and they don't know what to do, right? They have no clarity. So when there's a confusion, why is the confusion? Is because your head brain is saying one thing, your heart brain is saying something else, and then you don't know where to go. Happens? Who does it happen with? When you're confused, the confusion is what? The confusion is usually between the heart and the brain, right? Because the brain is saying one thing, but the heart is saying something else. And then you don't know what to do. Should I do this? Should I do that? What will be the right thing for me to do? So this technique is a beautiful technique that aligns all the brains together. So it'll align your thinking brain, it'll align your heart brain, and it'll align your gut brain so that they are on one page now. They're all aligned. They're all thinking and feeling and doing the same thing. So there's no confusion at all. Now this process is so beautiful that I've done this with a couple of with students who are confused, who don't know what to do, with executives at that level where they're confused, decision making in entrepreneurship where they get confused. I don't know what to do. So what this does really is, if you have two things where you're confused with, now in this particular process, you're connecting with the superconscious. You're not actually connecting with the subconscious, because this is where we want to develop your intuition. This is where we want to develop your creativity. And what is that a function of? It's a function of your superconscious, right? So in M-braining, we are actually connecting to the superconscious, where your intuition gets stronger, where your creativity heightens, and you get an answer from that level as to what is it that you want to do. So sometimes you'll get an absolute clarity whether ye karna hai, whether I have to do this or I have to do this, or you will get a third option that you wouldn't have even thought about. It just comes to your mind. It just comes because you pick it up from I told you it's connected to all of humanity. So you would pick up bits and pieces of information which was not even there in your mind. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it something very amazing and powerful? It is. You think it's powerful? Yeah? Come on,
Yeah.
interact with me. Tell me. You think it's
Yes.
powerful? Yeah. If you're stuck or you're in a state of confusion where you don't know, is my hand stuff. So then you do this process where you get an absolute clarity, or sometimes you will also find a third solution that you probably had not even thought of. Yeah. So that's M-braining. Now, what about access bars? Anybody done here access bars? Who's experienced access bars? Trupta, you raised your hand.
Yes, yes.
You've experienced,
I practice access
or
bars.
you practice access bars. Wonderful. Uh,
Yeah.
Who else has? Can you share your experience with it?
With access bars?
Yes, please.
It's kind of reset button, like how you format your computer and how it feels afterwards. It's the same thing happens with our mind and the body.
Yeah, but your experience with it, what happened to you after that?
I feel so peaceful, clarity of mind,
Again.
and it kind of gives me a lot of stamina to deal with the things with a lot of ease,
Yeah, yeah. So access bars is
Yeah.
a form of energy healing, again, where there are points. Now, bars, it's these are points, are 32 points on your head where we run energy through, and these bars or these points are connected to different areas of your life. So it can be like health, it is money, it is control, it is health and joy and sadness. So there are 32 different points on your head where you've stored your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your judgments about so many things. You judge people, people judge you. You have points of views which are different from other people's points of views. You've got your own thoughts, you've got your own feelings. You pick up from others things that don't belong to you. Remember, we also pick up stuff from others. So everything is stored there. And what this access bars literally does is, it's like a reset button that Trupta very nicely mentioned. It's like a reset button or a delete button that you have on your computer. You just kind of run the energy through those bars or through those points, and very effortlessly, all you have to do is sleep while the practitioner is working on you, and very effortlessly, it just deletes all the unwanted stuff from your system. It's just as simple as that. And as you start doing it, it's just literally deleting the unwanted stuff. And when you delete the unwanted stuff, what happens? You're creating space now to actively and consciously then create that what you want, right? So this is the beauty of access bars. Who else has experienced access here who'd like to share? Zeba, would you like to speak about it? Zeba, are you there? Okay, I don't think she's there. Anyone would like to talk about their experience? Okay, let's move. Access facelift. Access facelift is also part of access consciousness, but these are points on your face that we touch, because face is that one part of your body which is where you take in your information from. Now, how do you take your information? 5 senses, right? You take in through vision, through your eyes. You hear things through your nose, through your ears. You smell things through your nose. Then, which are the other 2? Your sensory, which is touch, which is your skin, that sensory organ, and then taste. So most of it is all concentrated on your face. So you hear things that you don't like. You may speak things that you yourself don't like, which is, sometimes we do say negative things, which you shouldn't be saying, but we do say it. We hear things, we see things, we experience things. So again, this is the same thing as bars, but it is more focused in and around your face. And what it also does is it gives you a beautiful facelift. So if you take your before and after pictures, you will actually see that your face has brightened, and people have actually reported that, it feels like an energetic Botox as well. So your face just feels a lot lifted and you don't need the Botox if you keep doing it regularly. Now coming to body whispering. Body whispering is also a form of energy healing where we tap into the consciousness of the body, because the body knows. The body knows things that you do not know. You're only aware of things which are there consciously. But like I said, there's a lot of things that are happening energetically. There are a lot of things that are happening at the unconscious level, at the subconscious level that you're not aware of. You don't even know where the things are coming from. So it kind of taps into the wisdom of the body. And it's a form of, again, energy clearing, where access bars is one way of doing it. Body whispering, I would say, is another technique of doing the same thing. And this can be done distantly. So while access bars cannot be done distantly, it is something that needs to be done only in person. But body whispering is something that you can also do distantly. I can sit here and work on somebody in America, which I have, by the way. So body whispering can be done distantly also. B4 formats. Now, B4 formats is also a very, very interesting modality where everything that you know of is made up of 5 elements. We know about the 5 elements in nature, right? Can anyone tell me what those 5 elements are? The 5 elements, at least 2 or 3 you would be knowing.
Yeah, water, air, earth, space.
Yeah, water, earth,
Air,
air,
earth,
space, and there's one more, fire.
fire, yeah.
Yeah. So these are the 5 earth elements, and everything is made up of these 5 earth elements. So your body is made up of these 5 elements, right? You have water, 70% of you is water. You have earth, which is the solid material that you have. Do you have fire? Yeah, you do have fire, right? The acids in your body, the metabolism, the passion that we talk about, the creativity that you talk about is all fire, is all the fire element. Then you have the air element. You have air also. I mean, you exchange air, right? You breathe in air, you send out air. There is, and there's space. So there is space in you. If you look at a cell at the very microscopic quantum level, between the atoms and the electrons, there is space. So we also have space within us. At the quantum level, everything is space. There's just 1% matter. We know that. Science has proven it. So B4 format, what it does is, it works on these 5 elements. Now, everything of you, even your chakra systems, you talk of every organ that you have, you talk of business, your bank account, your organs, your body on the whole, your mind, everything is made up of these 5 elements. So what B4 formats does is it balances out or it heals wherever there's a imbalance, it kind of heals those things. So that is what B4 format does. So these are the tools majorly that I've spoken about. Now, there are more. There's sound healing. You would have heard of sound healing. So again, sound healing is what? It uses sound as a medium of energy to make you feel better. Then there is light therapy that people use. You would have heard of infrared light, no? Light therapy is also there. That's also a form of energy healing. What else? There's theta healing. There is family constellations, which I've not written here, but family constellation is also a form of healing where you work on the energy of the whole unit as a family. So you and your generations collectively, that is how it works, the family constellations. But then access bars, all these things, ultimately the end goal is the same, but you can use different tools to get there. Now you choose what works best for you, right? The ultimate desired results and outcomes is what you want. This is where you are. This is where you need to go. You identify what you want. You remove the blocks and the barriers, and you get your desired outcomes. Now, there are multiple ways of getting there, just like Google Map, right? One place you start, there's an end point, there's a destination, and there are multiple routes to get there. So whatever works for you, do that. But more and more, these are the more common ones that are used. Okay? Any questions? No questions?
Yeah, my question is same again.
Which
How
one?
do I know what works best for me?
How do I know which works best for me? So then, like I said, this depends a lot on the person that you're working with. Like I said, I use a mix of tools. So my sessions, I call it the Life Lab. And when somebody
Hmm.
comes to me to make these changes, I first ask them where they are and where they need to go, right? And depending on where they are and where they need to go, I would either begin with access bars, or I would begin with the journey, or I would, begin with NLP or hypnotherapy, because when I've been doing this for the last 12 years, so I do have the experience of knowing what to do, and sometimes it's a mix of everything that I do in these sessions. So, Avanjot, there's no one right answer for this.
Mhm.
You've got to kind of see what works for you best. You have to try multiple things,
Okay.
But believe me one thing, no session goes waste. So even if if you see that, oh, मैंने access bars किया, लेकिन मुझे इतना अच्छा नहीं लगा, लेकिन sometimes understand there's so much of garbage that is stored there that sometimes, it just depends. Like if you've cooked, sometimes we cook and things get stuck and burned, right? Then you've got to soak it and you've got to then scrape it. Sometimes it's very easy to clean. And sometimes you really have to, if it's burned and it's been, there's a lot of mess out there, you've got to soak it, you've got to scrape it and do it. So rest assured, whatever you do, it does make a change. Maybe you're not seeing the effects of it immediately, okay? But definitely, whatever you do, it definitely, even a 0.5% change or a 0.05% change definitely happens. Definitely happens. How many sessions you need to do would depend on how much you've stored in your body. Some people see difference in one session. Lot changes in one session. For that one same, challenge that they're working on. For some people, for the same challenge, they may need 3 sessions as well. So one thing is for sure, 100%, that every session, whatever session you do, it does create a little bit of shift.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now, how quickly you see those results will also depend on the person that you're working with. the experience. That's where experience matters. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, next one. Also, in my form, I had written about parenting, remember? And some of you did write that parenting is an area that is challenging for some of you. So, parenting, yeah. There are two systems that I make use of. You would have heard of conscious parenting, and there are a lot of parenting coaches out there. What is the purpose of parenting, by the way? Anybody can tell me what is the purpose of parenting?
For me, it was raising two happy and confident kids.
Happy and confident kids. Anybody else? What is the purpose of parenting?
To guide.
To guide. Yeah. And you want, as parents, you want your kids to be successful. As parents, you want your kids to be happy. You want to guide them in the right ways, all of that, right? Correct? I define it as the purpose of parenting is that you be the support system where you help them grow into the highest God-given potential that they have. I'll repeat that. Because there's so many, it can get very confusing for parents because there are so many PDFs and so many books that talk about parenting. And there are different styles of parenting. Are you a controlling parenting? Are you an authoritative parent? Are you a, parent who is, I know there are 4 different types of parenting styles also. I don't bother about that because every unit is different. Every individual, every child is different. Every parent who's also an individual is different, right? They've got their own backgrounds. They've got their own challenges. When 2 people come together and they have a child, that family unit is very unique in itself because each of the parents is coming from a different background, a different, programming of their own. And then here is a child, and you will see that in a family where there are 2 or 3 children, though they're coming from the same parents, but still the children will be different from each other. How is that possible? Because each individual is a very unique individual in his own self. And each time is different. So if a child comes now, 2 years later, another child comes, the scenarios are different for the parents. Would have been different, could have been different. So every child is very unique. Every family unit is very unique. So there's no one size fits all kind of a solution when you talk about parenting. It's very, very unique to each child and very, very unique to each family unit as such. So I say that the purpose of parenting is that you show up as the parent for your child where he or she gets the maximum opportunity to develop into his or her highest God-given potential. So how are you going to show up? And parenting, believe me, parenting is not about the child. Parenting is first about the parent. And this, if you understand, the rest becomes very easy. I'll repeat that again. Parenting is less about the child. It's more about the parent. Okay? And once you understand that, the rest of the things become very easy. So there are 2 things that can be done with children. One is called the sleep talk system, which is specifically for kids between the ages of 0 to 12 years, called the Pregnancy to Puberty Program. And there are 3 phases to it. The phase 1 is called the foundation, the phase 2 is called the bridge, and the phase 3 specifics. Now, why I love this program is, and I've had fabulous results where all kinds of therapies, all kinds of doctors, medicines have failed, where Sleep Talk has created miracles for parents. And I have got a lot of testimonials when it comes to this as well. So this is not done by the facilitator. This is done by the parents themselves. So it's called the sleep talk system because the parents talk to the child when the child is sleeping. It just takes about 3 to 4 minutes every night. It's the parents who have to talk to the children in a particular way. So there's a script that is given. Not even one word needs to be changed. It has to be done in a particular way. And when you do this, what happens is it goes into the subconscious mind. It removes all the unwanted stuff. And then we can work on what is it that we, so you're literally deleting all the unwanted stuff from there. And then you're adding in stuff that you want, much like, the computer programs that you have. So if you have a bug, if there's a program that's running and there's a bug, what will you do? You'll reboot the system, right? Or you'll put an antivirus software. So it's literally like an antivirus software, which also protects the child from anything that is not for the good of the child. Yeah. So it's done in 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And it's like a 10 to 12 month program completely. It's done by the parent in the comfort of their homes when the child is sleeping. So there's no resistance at all. The parent doesn't have to go anywhere. The child doesn't have to go anywhere. The child doesn't need to know that something is happening because they're sleeping. And they're just 0 to 12 years. So it's very easy to work on them. And what's really going on here is that you're working at the subconscious, conscious, and the unconscious levels to remove the unwanted programming. They remove the programming that is not for their good and then install the programs that you want to install. And then talking about progressive parenting principles, it's for parents of all ages and for parents to be, where we talk about the 6 myths a parent must break, 6 shifts a parent must make, and the 6 skills a parent must learn. And just by learning these 18 fundamental principles, I have parents who've come to me and said that not only has their parenting improved or their relationship with their children have improved, but also their relationship with their parents, their in-laws, their spouses, their colleagues, their friends, everything improves because these are very, very fundamental concepts that we discuss in this particular, a session that we talk about the 18 things that a parent must do. These are some testimonials. I don't want to go there, but you can, let's see if it opens up or if you can see it. So if you can go here, you'll see a lot of testimonials that people have posted, and I have others also. Very quickly, just kind of browse through it, not read any of it, but yeah, a lot of it you can go through this later on where people have spoken how it's helped them. I'll go back. Okay. And where did this go?
ಮಯೂರ್
Going on, why can't I go back?
ಮಯೂರ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತಾಡು.
Okay, we're back here. So yeah, that was pretty much it about everything. This is a group that I have, WhatsApp group, where you can scan and join, which Meghna was talking about, and even Bhavi was talking about, where I post a lot of things, a lot of conversations happen here with regards to your personal growth. You can just scan and join the group if you wish to. And I also wanted to share with all of you the link that I was talking about for tomorrow's session. Is this done? Can I stop share, please? Is this done?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, of course, this is your choice. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to put in the chat what I was telling you about the link for tomorrow, the hidden cosmic code. And I'm happy to take any questions now that if you would have. Anyone for any questions? No questions?
Yeah, Shagufta.
Yeah.
I just want to know if, like, there are a lot of healers who say that, like, there are different modalities available which can be done online.
Yes.
So, are these effective, or like it is
They're
always
very, no,
better
no, of
to
course,
be?
no, they're very effective. So all of this that I've spoken of, NLP, hypnotherapy, M-braining, except for access, everything can be done online.
What about you talked about family constellation, right?
Can also be done online.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
can also be done online.
okay.
Yeah. Except for
So,
access, everything can be done online.
so it is as effective as in person, right?
It is.
Okay.
It is. See, when you're talking about energy and we're talking about the quantum field, Atanjot, you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to be there in presence.
Okay, okay.
You connect energetically.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah, it works.
okay.
Any more questions? None? Okay, then I think I'll end the session here in that case.
So you are based here or you are based in India?